What is up, YouTube? It's Josh. This is the Den of Nerds. This video is all about the Doctor Strange 15-minute preview that I got a chance to check out last night in Imax. I'm going to basically talk about it, break it down a bit. So I suppose I should say spoilers. I'm kind of thinking they're light spoilers. I mean, you know, this was available in certain markets to everybody, so if you saw it, I mean, you know, do you think that the movie was spoiled for you? But I guess I should say slight spoiler warning. But in either case, let's get right into it. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, Marvel rolled out 15 minutes of Doctor Strange footage that was cut and put together in a really nice fashion, actually, and it was put into different marketplaces around the country to basically preview the visuals, especially because a lot of this movie was shot in IMAX. Over an hour of this movie was shot specifically in IMAX, which I really did not know actually until Benedict Cumberbatch said it himself in the little intro that he gave. But this is basically just a marketing tool to get people excited, to get people talking about Doctor Strange. I mean, Marvel knows they have something really, really special with this movie, especially in the visual sense, so they are trying to allow people to check this out. Now, I've been to these sort of things before. The last time I think was actually for Avatar, James Cameron's Avatar, way back when. I think that was 2009, and it was a similar type idea. I mean, they're really trying to sell it as a visual experience rather than just a film. So I went down in Pittsburgh that time and checked that out, in a similar type of thing. I mean, they really give you a lot. Now, getting right into the Strange thing, I don't know what exactly I was expecting, but they actually cut together a decent little narrative. It's something like an expanded version of the trailer, cut with some actually lengthy scenes in there. But you get basically a story of where Doctor Strange is at before his accident. You get to see the accident, and then you get to see where he's at, I would imagine, sometime well past the accident, after he's spent literally all his money trying to fix his hands. The Ancient One was awesome. Tilda Swinton seems to nail this role. It's really, really cool. There is something going on with her. I said it before in the video. I don't think she's male or female. And actually, this kind of escaped me last time. I was talking to a buddy before we went in. I don't think she is Caucasian or Asian. I think she has transcended or left behind all of those isms and things that we use to categorize people, and I think she's just beyond everything, or he or she is beyond everything. But in either case, she was really, really cool. The way that she interacted with Strange, the way that everyone respects her, and just her obvious knowledge and command of magic was really, really cool. So that was one of the things that really stuck out for me. You almost immediately get launched into the visuals. You've seen this in the trailers before. Strange is put through different universes on an astral journey in order to just kind of basically have his mind blown. And as an audience member, I mean, my mind was blown. I mean, you've seen some of this stuff on television, but I'm telling you, in IMAX, in 3D, it's just some of the coolest effects I've literally ever seen. I think it's a leaps and bounds ahead of what you will see in Inception. And this all is that Steve Ditko art that was heavily influenced by Salvador Dali and those sort of visuals and surreal kind of imagery. And it seems so friggin' cool, guys. I really don't know how else to explain it. It's really mind-bending and mind-blowing. And you get to experience that for the first time with Strange as he's experiencing it. And you can imagine, like, all these things that you would think were really big deal, like his status. And by the way, they definitely establish him as like a very chauvinistic, very ego-driven, almost narcissist of a surgeon. And you can imagine being so wrapped up in that kind of an idea, those paradigms, and then seeing how small that is once you figure out like the multiverse. And they are definitely going multiverse in this, which I thought was really, really cool. There's a ton of interesting stuff here, but the most important thing is that visually, I don't think that you've seen anything quite like this. And if you know, just from what you get in the trailers and stuff, very, very cool stuff. That's what you should be most excited for going into this. They've taken that Steve Ditko art, that crazy trippiness, and they've brought it to the screen in a way that's really going to bend your mind and be really cool. As I said before, I think it's going to be a lock for best visuals at the Oscars. But getting into a little bit of the stuff that I learned from it, and this I think is where we kind of step into spoiler territory, if you will. But some of the interesting things were, one, there is part of the movie in where he appears to be standing in front of a massive face that's, all tripped out and glowing, and he's in another dimension. Now, some people have said that they think that this is Dormammu. I actually do not believe that that is the case. I believe that this is one of the Vishanti. The Vishanti are, of course, 3 separate entities that all convene and bestow occultic power onto the Sorcerer Supreme, whoever the Sorcerer Supreme may be. In this case, Doctor Strange. And so I remember just being like, yes, they're going for it with that. The Vishanti, and of course the Book of Vishanti, which I believe Strange actually takes from the library. And which on a side note, Wong. So interesting. We knew that Wong was going to be different in this iteration, that they were going to take him away from the manservant thing and put him into a more predominant role in the picture. And he holds this authority over Strange, and he is the keeper of all of the books in the Sanctum Sanctorum. So very, very cool to see his dynamic with Strange and to watch their friendship slowly build. That was really, really cool. Also, the character of Strange is very funny. He's very quippy. He has, a lot of the same mannerisms and reactions to things that Tony Stark does, which, to be honest with you, it was a little bit much in the 15 minutes, but I think that they're really trying to sell you on, they want to bring a human element. They want you to be able to have fun in this movie and not just be completely lost visually. They're trying to sell it to kids. They're trying to sell it to this wide audience. There's basically Scott Derrickson, when he made this film, his original cut was really, really dark, and Disney brought in somebody for the reshoots, and yes, it had reshoots. Holy crap, right? But they brought somebody in for the reshoots specifically to bring some levity to the picture. This isn't something that we should be estranged to at this point. It's a very Disney thing to do. It did kind of bother me a little bit in the 15 minutes, and we'll see how it plays out in the totality of the film, but I'm thinking that it'll be a little bit easier to swallow. They might have just crammed a lot in to the picture itself. Now, another thing, the visuals we've seen of the city folding in on itself, which was so crazy. I know I seem a little... I wanted to record this video last night, but I kind of needed to process it a little bit more, because literally last night I just would have been like, so cool. So cool, just over and over again. I really didn't know. It left my brain feeling like mashed potatoes. Very, very cool stuff. But that scene where the city's folding in on itself, it appears as though Mordru and Strange are in New York, and they are trying to escape. This was clear. They're trying to get through one of those portals, right, back to wherever they are safe at this point in the movie. And it appears as though the villain, Mads Mikkelsen, has some kind of a power or a domain over the city. He has perhaps performed some kind of spell or tapped into some kind of power, and he is in control of the city in the magical spiritual way. So they are trying to escape, and he keeps bending their reality to cause them to fall or to slide away from these portals, and they can't escape. I thought that was really, really cool, because we've seen the bending and the craziness in the trailers or whatever, but there was no narrative given to it. And the fact that this is just a part where he's just trying to stop them from escaping is really, really cool. That's a huge action set piece for just something like that in the film. I think it's going to be pretty awesome. Perhaps that is leading up to the finale, the last fight between them, because I imagine, especially considering the fact that the Sanctum Sanctorum is in New York City, if Mads Mikkelsen has complete domain of the city, one would think that's further down the line of the narrative, because that's a really bad thing. I mean, if that happens early, I can't imagine how that would get worse or how they would resolve it slowly enough to build suspense. So I thought that was really, really cool. They showcased some nice cool parts with the Cloak of Levitation. There's this part where Strange gets pushed off of this ledge and he's kind of falling back, and the Cloak of Levitation like whoosh, sips in and gets him, and he comes back up as he's performing a spell, and it's just, oh man, it's like really, really cool. So, well, I don't know, it probably isn't sentient, but you know, much like Thor's hammer is like attracted to him and like is being able to be utilized by him, the Cloak of Levitation would appear to do that to Strange. There was also this really cool shot. There's a lot of little things. They cut a lot fast. But there was this part where Strange is messing around with the eye of Agamotto, and he somehow like unlocks it, and he appears to be completely surprised. And I think that one of the things is that the amulet itself, the Eye of Agamotto, I think of course has a lot of power. But I think that the fact that it has the time gem inside of it is like amplifying that power, or is an added power to it. So it appears as though like his ability to tap into it and to get it there is a surprise to him, probably a surprise to everybody. Very, very interesting stuff. I mean, the whole thing, it cut together a really cool narrative and just totally whets your palate for the visual craziness that is guaranteed to be Doctor Strange. And I left very, very excited. And by the way, like, well done Philadelphia, because that theater I went into is a huge theater. It was packed, man. There were members of the press. People were loving it. The energy was great. Everybody's really, really into it. I think this movie is going to be huge for them. And like I said, I think it's going to be one of the best that Marvel has put out. Actually, the best, in my opinion. And possibly the first to win an Oscar. Oh! And they also had the cameo of Stan Lee in there. And this is just such beautiful fan service, because apparently that cameo was shot literally less than 2 weeks ago. So for them to take it, cut it, and then put it into this film and this little 15-minute preview for all of us fans, that's such nice fan service. It's what we expect from Marvel and Disney, but it still means a lot, and it was really, really cool. So let's check that nerd card. The nerd card question is going to be about the Vishanti, and the question is, what are the names of those three separate entities that make up the Vishanti and bestow the occultic power upon the Sorcerer Supreme? Answer the question in the comment section below. Like the video if you thought it was cool. Hit me up in the comments, guys. I'm more than willing to talk about this kind of stuff. I think it would be really, really sweet. Oh, and a new little dealie. You can click here if you'd like, and you will see my video that basically talks about Doctor Strange and how I think it's going to be the best MCU film and win an Oscar. And you can click here to see the top 5 characters that need to be a part of the MCU. And as I always say, guys, I hope you're having an awesome and nerdy day. See ya!